Hey loves, it's Britt, and in this video I'm going to talk about what it means to have your composite sun in the 8th house. So the composite chart is different than the synastry chart, so it's not which house our partner's planets are falling in our natal chart. It's actually a separate chart that is created based on the midpoints of the two birth charts. Or if you're using the Davison relationship chart, it's an actual midpoint between the two birth dates, so a midpoint in space and time. So the composite chart shows a lot more about the relationship as a separate entity, the ultimate purpose of the relationship. What have we come together for? So with the composite sun in the 8th house, this shows that this relationship is one that is meant to transform you both. So this one is really interesting in that it can create feelings of obsession, infatuation, incredible sexual attraction, and magnetic fascination and pull towards each other, even when it does not make sense to be a couple. The 8th and the 12th house composite sun can sometimes show up in affairs. All placements could show up that way, but these sun positions in the composite chart seem to be where people can lose their sense of conscious reasoning for their actions because it's just a very emotional place. So the 8th house deals with transformation, death, rebirth. So this relationship is likely to transform you both in some big way. It's not necessarily an easy relationship. It's not really a lighthearted relationship. So if you have this in your romantic relationship, it can show that as a couple, the way that you blend is that you actually make each other both more 8th house, more Scorpio-ish, So if, you're particularly Plutonic or Scorpio in general, this will feel very good. But for some people, the intensity of this one and the way that it brings up this part of you that's very obsessive or very even secretive or suspicious, or like it might be uncomfortable for some people to remain in this type of relationship forever. It's also not a super public place to have the sun. Like when the sun is shining through the 8th house in the composite chart of secrets and death and rebirth and sex, it can mean that we feel very strongly towards each other, but we don't necessarily want to share what's really going on in this coupling with the world. So it can be a more private relationship. If it is a committed relationship, it can just be one where, the partners don't really want to like post each other necessarily. And I mean, you could have other things going on that would change that. But just in general, like the sun, the basic thrust of energy and light and ego drives of both people coming through the 8th house is not a particularly like shiny or public placement. It's, we're very focused on deep and serious things with each other. We're having intense, vulnerable, intimate conversations. We're maybe having an interest in spiritual things or the meaning of life, and we're researching together. In some cases, the 8th house can bring up those urges of, wanting to understand life and death. In some cases, if the sun is aspected in a very difficult way, you could, in this relationship, become self-destructive, where you're bringing about this death in each other, but it's in a very dangerous or self-abusive way. So that's just something to look out for as well, because the transformation is going to happen with this placement, but um, in like some worst case scenarios, you could bring up very toxic or very scary qualities in each other that could potentially be damaging for both of you. So it's a very emotional, intense placement, not to be taken lightly. It definitely is one of those composite chart placements that will show that it's a very plutonic theme. It's, very intense, very obsessive. The sex that you're going to have in this relationship is going to be life changing, like heaven on earth, very intense, emotional, intimate. That could be one of the reasons for coming together, is this type of like almost like a shamanic sort of healing through sex. So, and also you want to look at Mars and Venus and what they're doing in the composite chart too for this, but Sun here definitely brings a focus to those kind of issues. So, whatever sexual issues that you may have, they're going to come up in this relationship for healing. They're going to be brought to the light. Whatever relationship issues or trust issues or, fears of vulnerability, this is all going to be brought up. So the sun is like, shining this huge bright light on all of these uncomfortable areas. So this placement can feel very vulnerable, but also, very intimate, because this person affects you in such a deep way that you're healing all of this stuff that, as maybe accumulated over the course of many lifetimes. So it's definitely a very intense relationship. You could also, as a couple, focus on finances and resources together. The second house placement of Sun or 8th can show that this is kind of a financially focused relationship. If there is a breakup with Sun and 8th, this can be one of the ones where, we're really focused on getting what is ours. And second house, 8th house composites industry is very much focused on what's mine versus yours. So this is the kind of placement that could show up in a lengthy divorce battle over resources kind of thing. So that could be one of the issues with Sun in the 8th house in composite, especially if there's, difficult aspects to Pluto, or, you want to look at the state of that Sun, what is going on there, because it could, this is one of those placements that could bring out the best or worst in the two people. So, but definitely as a couple, they have a power, they have a magnetism, they have a very strong energy field. And they give off, power couple vibes, but it's really just because like the combined emotional energy of this couple is so strong. They feel so strongly for each other. Part of their purpose together is really to deal with these intense emotional themes. So that energy can definitely be felt by the outside world as well. So it's a really interesting placement. Definitely an unforgettable one. It can be incredibly addicting, or scary for people that aren't familiar with these 8th house plutonic themes. But for the right people, it can be the most deep, intense relationship of their life, and also the most healing, where a lot of growth, a lot of ego deaths that maybe were necessary can happen in this relationship, and a lot of spiritual growth and awareness and wisdom can be accumulated when you're in a relationship with this composite Sun. So it can definitely feel very fated or karmic, and that's because it is. There's a lot here for growth purposes. So I'd love to know your experience of this one. Was it like this? Was it not like this? And yeah, I'm continuing my Sun in the Composite House series, so stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.